A scene of devastation unfolds as a crimson beam slices through a high-rise building. Two figures fly past the rubble in pursuit of each other, a black-haired girl and a platinum-haired boy. In the distance, a dark-haired young man witnesses everything. His name is Kodak, and the other is Tsubaki, who appears from behind him. Tsubaki unleashes an overwhelming surge of energy, pinning her master into the debris. Before she can revel in her triumph, Kodak charges forward and drives a strike through her body, sending them both plummeting into the raging flames below. Elsewhere, Haru and Akira are locked in battle. Haru summons a colossal sphere of water that engulfs Akira, suffocating her. But Akira has also awakened. She retaliates with a terrifying burst of light. At that same moment, a blindfolded girl lunges at another, successfully eliminating her opponent. Yet she too becomes bound by the threads of fate, falling together with her enemy to their mutual demise. The battles rage on without end. A group of blonde figures in Nazi uniforms brawl against several platinum-haired individuals. A platinum-haired girl manages to cast a spell on her opponent just in time. The blonde boy dies from illusory blood butterflies, his body exploding as he screams in agony. His female teammate witnesses this and raises her bow, mercilessly raining arrows down and killing the platinum-haired girl on the spot. But while the blonde is distracted, she receives a scythe strike from a mysterious dark-haired boy perched above. Yet his victory is short-lived as the girl's hidden arrow pierces through him, and they die together. On another side, a black-haired girl questions whether she and her comrades are truly the villains. She is Yuri, and her opponent is Chihiro. Both charge forward simultaneously, delivering fatal blows to each other. They strike their enemy, yet it is also a farewell embrace. In a certain city, within the Damioji dojo, two young men are sparring with wooden swords while their master watches nearby. The one in blue takes the initiative and charges first, but the one in red uses a spinning technique to knock the sword right out of his hand. The master stops the match. The blue-clad boy removes his helmet and complains to Chihiro beside him about the sword fight. Chihiro simply smiles lightly because a victory is a victory. If he lacks the skill, he should not complain. When the blue-clad boy tries to argue further, his father, the dojo master, stops him. The master himself agrees with Chihiro's point. Seeing this, the boy wants to have another round, but Chihiro has already slipped away to prepare breakfast. While slicing cucumbers in the kitchen, Chihiro cuts his hand with the knife, blood flowing profusely. He stares at the wound, lost in thought. When finished cooking, Chihiro serves the meal to the master and Kotsu. Kotsu savors the eggs with great delight, praising Chihiro's cooking skills so much that he hopes Chihiro will cook more in the future, leaving Chihiro speechless. Kotsu even suggests to his father that the two of them take over the dojo, with Chihiro as the instructor and Kotsu as the assistant. Their master is stunned for a moment. On the subway, Kotsu is busy lecturing Chihiro about how to become a good teacher when Chihiro suddenly reminds him that on the sparring floor, Kotsu is still stronger. Kotsu silently understands his friend's decision. He asks if Chihiro still wants to leave. Chihiro answers vaguely. He is deeply grateful that their master raised and trained him, but Chihiro has his own mission to fulfill. When they arrive at school, the two meet their friend Akiro, who invites Chihiro to have breakfast together. Kotsu is left out because he is a freshman. From behind, Yuri's figure watches Chihiro intently, full of mystery. Suddenly, a sound resonates through the air, so powerful that it drowns out all the city noises. It affects everyone around, including Kotsu, causing them to collapse. Chihiro hurriedly catches Kotsu in his arms. A red mist appears, enveloping the entire city, seemingly swallowing all those who have fallen to the sound. Now the unconscious people on the streets have vanished, leaving only their scattered clothing behind. Under the influence of the red mist, Chihiro also quickly loses consciousness. He awakens in an unfamiliar dark void, seated on a chair. From the endless darkness, a masked girl carrying an umbrella approaches. She tells him that everything is merely an illusion. He is a king lost on a deserted island with no way out. Deeply confused, Chihiro asks who she is. The girl reveals herself as Dux. Then she opens her umbrella, pulling Chihiro back to reality. When he opens his eyes, two people are standing by his bedside. The nurse, seeing him awake, immediately calls the doctor beside her. The red-haired doctor named Inuki promptly checks his level of consciousness. The nurse asks for his identity. When Chihiro gives his name and mentions Jokai University where he studies, Dr. Inuki introduces himself as a resident physician and explains that this is Jokai University Hospital. The nurse beside him is Kun. Inuki explains that Chihiro has been unconscious for 5 months. The doctor asks what Chihiro saw in his dreams. Before he can comprehend anything, the doctor tells him this condition is called the Great Unconsciousness. He pulls back the curtains for Chihiro to look outside. Chihiro is horrified to discover that Tokyo is surrounded by the red mist, and even the high-rise buildings have been pierced and overtaken by strange vegetation. Before Chihiro can question anything, Kum opens the door for Kotsu, who enters in tears. He has been extremely worried about his friend. When they leave the hospital, a man and woman approach them. The reporter Kakihara and his colleague Tsubasa, following them for an interview. Despite Chihiro's annoyance, they still take photos for their article. Kakibara even mentions the tragedy from 13 years ago and mocks him. According to government reports, Tokyo has now become a special autonomous zone because no one can pass through the red mist. Chihiro has not yet adapted to the outside world. Every time he sees the red mist, he gets a headache. Concerned for his friend, Kotsu tells Chihiro to rest first. In a vision, Chihiro sees his master and the dojo drowning in a sea of blood. When he comes to, he dismisses it as just an illusion. Upon returning to the dojo, that strange sound suddenly rings out again. Chihiro notices in the distance a bespectacled man who is the source of the sound, and behind him stands a mysterious girl. The dojo cracks apart as a multi-armed monster emerges. The head of their master is fused into the creature. It begins destroying everything around it. A mysterious girl in the alley observes the two. The monster repeatedly swings its sword at Chihiro, but he manages to dodge. Chihiro takes the wooden sword from his friend and charges to strike down the monster, but memories of his master flash through his mind. Chihiro misses his strike. The monster seizes the opportunity and delivers a vertical slash down his body. But suddenly, a mysterious power erupts from within Chihiro. His wound heals rapidly. When Chihiro opens his eyes, they have transformed into blood-red orbs. Chihiro is wounded on one shoulder, his eyes filled with killing intent. Suddenly, from the gaping wound, a bloody hand emerges. Both his arms transform into a crimson energy flow. Chihiro has lost all control. He slashes vertically through the monster before him, then delivers a direct thrust that eliminates it on the spot. Yuri and the bespectacled man sigh. She mentions to the man beside her that Chihiro seems to have awakened. The girl in the alley also observes the commotion outside while Kotsu stands frozen, staring at his friend. When Yuri and the bespectacled man leave, Chihiro's eyes return to normal. He regains consciousness and realizes the monster before him has been slain. Chihiro turns toward Kotsu, intending to approach his friend, but Kotsu unconsciously backs away in fear of what he just witnessed. Only then does Chihiro realize that the monster before him was killed by his own hands while he was unconscious. He screams in anguish, having struck down his own master. Fortunately, the girl who has been watching from the beginning emerges from the alley. She uses her power to temporarily calm Chihiro, causing him to faint and fall into her arms. Though still frightened, Kotsu is more worried about his friend. He approaches the girl to ask about Chihiro's condition. Only when he hears his friend is fine does he breathe a sigh of relief. Kotsu has many questions. She says she will explain later. Police sirens and ambulances wail loudly. At the dojo scene, reporter Kakihara demands entry, but is stopped by Inspector Kurakami. Inside, she questions witnesses about the monster's whereabouts. A nearby young man claims he had fainted and knows nothing. Kurakami turns to question the mysterious girl and Kotsu. Since he is in a state of panic, he knows nothing about the monster. The girl introduces herself to the inspector as Aiko, a classmate of Chihiro's, and explains that he is currently unconscious. The inspector reluctantly leaves them alone, but reminds them to file a missing person report. Recently, Tokyo has had many similar cases. After the Great Unconsciousness, the city has lost over 10,000 people, possibly due to the red mist. Kurakami also mentions there have been reports of humans transforming into monsters, but when police arrive, nothing remains. This makes them doubt the authenticity of these cases. After the inspector leaves, only Aiko, Kotsu, and Chihiro remain in the house. Kotsu curiously asks about her identity. He desperately wants to know what happened to his father and Chihiro, and whether the monster he saw was a hallucination. The reason Kotsu's father transformed into a monster is because he was altered. She reminds him of the mysterious bespectacled man. Kotsu grows irritated and wants to ask more, but Aiko signals him to be quiet so Chihiro can rest. In Chihiro's dream, he sees the silhouette of a faceless girl stabbing him with a sword. Chihiro instinctively uses his bloody arm to counterattack. When he pierces through the mysterious girl, tears stream down her face. Chihiro awakens from the nightmare and sees Aiko first. After a moment of wariness, he recognizes her as the classmate who attended seminars with him. Chihiro is also shocked to realize what he has done. He killed the monster that Kotsu's father had become with his own hands. Overwhelmed with guilt, he covers his face in anguish. Aiko goes outside and signals to Kotsu that Chihiro has awakened. In reporter Kakibara's office, he is reviewing the case of Chihiro's missing master. Tsubasa enters and wonders why he keeps reading that same article. She brings documents about the school Chihiro attends. At the dojo, Aiko has prepared an elaborate meal for the two. Her constant addressing of Chihiro as master makes him uncomfortable. Kotsu also loses his composure trying to extract information from Aiko but fails, so he begrudgingly eats the breakfast she prepared. Later, Chihiro stands solemnly before the sign bearing the dojo's name, feeling immense grief over his master's death. He kneels and weeps because his hands are stained with blood, and there is no turning back. Kotsu watches his friend from behind the paper screen, not knowing what to do, so he quietly leaves. Aiko, Kotsu, and Chihiro are walking nearby when suddenly a young man who seems to have lost control is thrashing about, causing panic among the crowd. Aiko shields Chihiro from behind, recognizing that this person's condition is similar to their master's. Before the man can do anything, Dr. Inuki and Nurse Kun rush over to restrain him. Inuki administers an injection that knocks him unconscious, then Kun carries him back to the hospital. Suddenly, Inuki notices something. He grabs Chihiro's face to examine it closely, but Aiko glares at him from behind. The doctor withdraws his gaze, promising to meet again. At the cafeteria, Chihiro questions what Aiko meant earlier about that man being like his adoptive father. She explains the man was about to transform. If a gate opens, it allows monsters to invade, so those monsters come from another world. Aiko explains that currently, the only way is to eliminate them. Seeing her speak so calmly about it, Chihiro becomes furious. He has lost too many loved ones, and one of them was killed by his own hands. In his agitation, a red glow flashes in his eyes, causing Chihiro to nearly collapse from exhaustion. Kotsu is very worried about his friend. Chihiro goes to wash his face to clear his head, but suddenly hears that strange sound. He rushes into the hallway and sees the source of the sound coming from a bell in a girl's hand. Chihiro immediately pursues her. Kotsu and Aiko at the cafeteria notice Chihiro has been gone too long and run to find him. Reporter Kakibara and Tsubasa are threatening the principal, demanding information about the AVIL facility, when suddenly he spots Chihiro running past. Chihiro chases to a large building but loses track of her. Ikiro nearby wonders why he is there. Suddenly, that sound rings out again. The mysterious girl rings the bell, causing everyone to begin transforming into monsters. Even Kotsu, who has just arrived, is affected by the sound. The girl advises Chihiro to awaken the heroic bloodline within him to slay the monsters. But he fears harming Kotsu if his friend becomes one. Suddenly, Kotsu transforms into a form resembling Chihiro and charges into battle against the monsters. Aiko is bewildered to discover that Kotsu also carries the heroic bloodline. Following the sound, Kotsu finds the bespectacled man ringing the bell. The man wants to take this opportunity to eliminate both carriers of the heroic bloodline and transforms nearby students into monsters. Chihiro, haunted by his master's death, refuses to unleash his heroic bloodline. But when a monster hurls Kotsu into the wall, Chihiro's concern for his friend ignites his fury, and he roars in rage. Seeing his friend cornered against the wall, Chihiro feels utterly helpless. The bespectacled man mocks Kotsu for being weak despite carrying the heroic bloodline. Yuri beside him reminds him that Kotsu has only just awakened his powers for the first time. Chihiro watches the monster closing in on Kotsu, preparing to deliver the finishing blow. Only now does his fury fully erupt. Before Aiko's astonished eyes, Chihiro awakens the heroic bloodline within his body, instantly transforming into a half-human, half-monster form and eliminating the creature in one swift strike. Kotsu behind him is quite bewildered by his friend. Suddenly, Kotsu collapses in agony as his legs lose all sensation. Aiko warns Chihiro that the monster's spear was poisoned. Chihiro panics and urgently presses Aiko to find a solution. The monster rises and charges straight at Chihiro. He is about to be overwhelmed when suddenly Aiko desperately tells him to call her name. But when Chihiro does so, it has no effect because Aiko is not her real name. In this critical moment, the blood heart in his chest pulses, causing him to remember and unconsciously call out the name Surdid. She is immediately enveloped by a barrier, revealing her true form as a golden-haired elf maiden. Before Chihiro can question who she is, Surdid urges him to continue fighting while she goes to Kotsu to neutralize the poison. The monster is hurled outside the school grounds. Chihiro charges after it and delivers a finishing blow. Surdid joyfully praises her master. A camera lens from afar has captured Chihiro's battle, but he feels no joy at this moment. On the contrary, he is overwhelmed with sorrow for having killed an innocent student. Surdid reminds him that once someone transforms into a monster, they can never return. The only way is to kill them to release them from their suffering. Suddenly, Kakihara appears with his assistant Tsubasa. He has recorded everything that just happened and realizes that Chihiro is the one who caused the tragedy at the dojo. Seeing his close friend being harassed, Kotsu stands up to defend Chihiro. Right then, from the rubble, the bespectacled man and the mysterious girl Yuri emerge. He summons monsters to possess the bodies of the unconscious students. Chihiro cannot bring himself to attack his friends and can only endure a spear strike that sends him crumpling to the ground. Seeing him protected by blood armor, the bespectacled man transforms the monster into a giant to deliver the killing blow to Chihiro. Kotsu wants to rush forward to help his friend, but the poison takes effect, preventing him from attacking. At that moment, the mark on Chihiro's chest emits a brilliant crimson blood aura, causing the reporter Tsubasa standing nearby to clutch her head and collapse. When the blood energy subsides, Chihiro has fully recovered and stands up. He uses his strength to control the spear that was about to impale him. Surdid sees the situation as dire. It will be very risky if Chihiro uses this power too much. Over where Kakihara is, he worries about Tsubasa as she slowly and painfully transforms into a monster. While he is still anxious, a mysterious red-haired girl appears. She tells Kakihara that only the heroic power within him can save Tsubasa. She instructs him to call Tsubasa's true name. Unconsciously, as Kakibara transforms, he calls out the name Arrow. She transforms into a bird woman. Arrow, with her extraordinary strength, sends the charging monster flying. The bespectacled man sees the situation turning unfavorable and focuses on eliminating Chihiro. But the boy has already outmatched the monster, annihilating it into nothingness. He then charges to attack the bespectacled man. The girl beside him draws her weapon to block him. Seeing her familiar face, Chihiro clutches his head in pain. Taking advantage of this, the two mysterious figures retreat. The red-haired girl approaches Chihiro and uses magic to suppress his heroic bloodline, returning him to his normal state. She introduces herself as Shoko. Surdid comes to help Chihiro up and recognizes Shoko as the creator. Shoko explains that because Chihiro could not control and recklessly used his power, he caused this disaster. Kakibara, furious, grabs Chihiro by the collar and demands he turn Tsubasa back to normal. Suddenly, someone cries out for help for Ikkyu. It turns out he was also on the verge of transforming, currently in a half-human, half-monster state. Dr. Inuki and Kum appear, surprising everyone. Shoko explains that the doctor is also one of them. She leads Chihiro's group to the Maldius Church. Upon arrival, she explains this is a fortress that monitors the heroes fighting against chaos. Chaos is a force seeking to turn the world into a place of disorder. Kakibara at this point is still only worried about Tsubasa, but Shoko reminds him that she is now Arrow. Before Kotsu's questions, she says their leader will explain everything. From behind Shoko, a shadowy figure appears, having arrived unnoticed. She is the one Chihiro met in his dream during the Great Unconsciousness. She introduces herself as Dux. Chihiro is deeply curious about Dux's purpose for all of this. She simply mentions it is destiny. Dux prophesies that in 40 years, Earth will be destroyed. She says those monsters can never be truly eliminated. The world can only be reborn after destruction. Dux points to the group and explains that the key to this lies in those who carry the heroic bloodline. When destruction comes, a hero called the Crimson Lotus King will appear. Without the Crimson Lotus King, the world will fall into war and ruin. Kakibara does not believe any of this, but Dux reminds him of the reality of people transforming into monsters. Kotsu asks who turned his father into a monster. She says it was the Chaos Agents. Elsewhere, an old white-haired man gazes at enormous machines. Behind him stand the mysterious girl and the bespectacled man. He tells them that the only way to prevent the apocalypse is to eliminate those who carry the heroic bloodline. At the church, Dux reveals that the Chaos Agents use the comatose victims to summon monsters. The only way to resolve this is to destroy Tokyo, the source of the gate. When Chihiro's group arrives at the hospital to check on the situation, Kakibara sees Arrow in Tsubasa's form and rushes forward joyfully. But when he realizes she is not Tsubasa, he is deeply disappointed. Surdid nearby explains that they are originally guardians of those who carry the heroic bloodline. Tsubasa simply awakened thanks to Chihiro's energy. Unable to get any answers, Kakibara feels helpless. He smokes on the hospital balcony, his eyes filled with resentment and hatred. He swears to avenge Tsubasa. In Ikkyu's hospital room, Dr. Inuki explains that everyone has a special gene that resonates with monsters. When the resonance is strong enough, the monsters open a gate through the human body and arrive here. Chihiro is very worried about Ikkyu when suddenly the space around him shifts. Dux appears and blames Chihiro for everything that has happened. A blood-stained shard of glass appears in his hand, leaving Chihiro utterly distraught. She tells him this is unavoidable for resetting the world. Chihiro jolts awake from the nightmare. His friends see his hand covered in blood. Kum comes to wipe it, but finds no wound. Chihiro pulls away from her. Dr. Inuki notices his unstable mental state. Dark clouds now blanket the city sky. Chihiro unleashes a full-force strike aimed at Tokyo. Kotsu behind him is very worried. The nearby carriers of the heroic bloodline observe everything, relieved that Chihiro has joined their side. Before such terrifying power, even Dr. Inuki and Nurse Kum in their half-human, half-monster forms marvel at this incredible strength. The crimson light sweeps across the city, destroying everything in its path. A primal stone chain below is also destroyed by the overwhelming energy. At Chaos headquarters, the old man scolds the bespectacled man and Yuri for letting the carriers of the heroic bloodline roam free and even breaking the seal. The bespectacled man explains that their group is weak in places where gates cannot be opened. He casually mentions bringing in a mysterious group to handle this, infuriating the old man. When both leave, he calls Yuki to stay behind, telling her that only she can save him. It turns out they are father and daughter. At Maldius Church, Chihiro sits exhausted and slumped over. Shoko tells him that as long as he destroys all the barriers protecting the monsters, Tokyo will collapse on its own, and chaos will disappear. Despite the concerns of Kotsu and Surdid, Chihiro expresses his intention to sacrifice himself to save more people. He knows using too much power will overwhelm his body, but he does not want to watch anyone else die because of this. Seeing his determination, Dr. Inuki approaches to comfort him, encouraging him that he can do it. Chihiro feels dizzy and collapses, and his two friends help him go rest. As Kotsu helps Chihiro into the hallway, reporter Kakabara appears and mocks him, saying he is just enjoying the thrill of killing and destruction. Kotsu speaks up for his friend, understanding that Chihiro is only trying to protect everyone around him. In a room, Yuri contemplates a photograph showing her and Chihiro as children, sitting on a swing with a woman behind them whose face is obscured. In his dream, Chihiro sees many familiar figures. He wakes from the nightmare to find Surdid keeping watch beside him. On the street, a couple argues loudly about street racing. At the laboratory, when Kum comes to find Dr. Inuki, she hears the sound of something falling and immediately breaks down the door. She finds Inuki gasping on the floor. Kum quickly finds medicine and gives it to him. When he recovers, Inuki urges her to carry out the mission because without her, it cannot be completed. On the bustling streets, the second in command of the racing gang, Tsubaki, speeds down the road. In the Tokyo sky, Chihiro and his friends continue their mission to destroy the barriers. Suddenly, the bespectacled man and Yuri appear. Seeing the one who harmed his father, Kotsu charges without hesitation, knowing they will be weakened without people around to summon monsters. Kotsu attacks the bespectacled man relentlessly. The cunning man tries to impale him with an axe, but Kun blocks the strike with her tail just in time. Worried about his friend, Chihiro tells Surdid to assist Kum while he battles Yuri. Chihiro is continuously attacked by Yuri, unable to cast any combat magic. The bespectacled man feels rather contemptuous of Yuri for going easy on her opponent. Kotsu has just fallen to the ground below when suddenly Tsubaki rides her racing bike toward him. She transforms into a half-demon form, revealing herself as an ally of chaos. In the sky, Chihiro is still fighting Yuri when he notices a barrier below. He is about to destroy it when Yuri blocks him. At that moment, the barrier emits a white light. Chihiro opens his eyes to find himself in a fog-filled city with Yuri standing before him. She explains to Chihiro that this is a realm of memories. Outside, Kum sees Chihiro enveloped in light and worries. The bespectacled man seizes the opportunity to strike her, leaving her dazed. Below, Kotsu fights fiercely with Tsubaki. She stops playing around and summons a small spirit beast that blocks all of Kotsu's attacks. In the dream realm, Chihiro keeps wandering in circles looking for an exit, while Yuri advises him not to waste his effort. Walking in circles will never lead him out. She asks if destroying the barriers and bringing Tokyo to ruin is truly what Chihiro wants. Chihiro finds this very troublesome. He points out that turning humans into monsters is the real wrong. Outside, Kum continues attacking the bespectacled man while Surdid below despairs at having lost track of Chihiro. Yuri keeps following Chihiro in the dream. Feeling helpless in finding an exit, she expresses her desire to stay by his side so they can both find salvation. Chihiro tells her there is no salvation anywhere. The only way is to seek forgiveness through battle. Destroying this hopeless world to rebuild it anew is what must be done. Yuri seizes the opportunity to ask him to become her ally, to escape together and change the world. Chihiro realizes she knows a way out. At that moment, outside, Kum is struck by the blonde-haired Haru. Before he can gloat, she has already recovered, ready to fight to her last breath. In the dream, Chihiro is frustrated because Yuri refuses to reveal the exit. He loses patience and turns another direction, telling her not to follow him. Suddenly, Yuri tells him that is the wrong way. She finally agrees to show him the exit. Kotsu is now fighting intensely with Tsubaki, refusing to lose to someone evil, cursing her as someone who turns humans into monsters. Tsubaki is taken aback. She insists she is not a chaos ally. Both realize they have misunderstood each other. So Tsubaki changes her target, no longer bothering with him, and flies up with her spirit beast. In the dream world, Yuri leads Chihiro to a large boulder. She explains that earlier, he transmitted a great amount of energy into the stone, which brought them both into this illusory world. Chihiro hastily channels energy into the boulder again. The pain is immense, but he continues casting the spell. Seeing this, Yuri rushes over to help him control the power, telling him he did it wrong. She guides him to focus the energy into a single point. Finally, the boulder returns them both to the real world. When Chihiro awakens, he sees Yuri preparing to leave. She reveals that everything is because of his mother. Even now, he still wonders about her identity. At this moment, Kum faces the bespectacled man and Haru. Haru is about to charge and strike her when suddenly Chihiro arrives just in time. Below, Surdid lies defeated on the ground. Haru still has energy and wants to continue fighting, but the bespectacled man stops him. He is more concerned about Yuri's condition, so they leave together. Taking this opportunity, Chihiro's group also escapes. Chihiro recalls what Yuri said about his mother. In a dark cellar, a wolf brimming with murderous intent howls, heralding an ominous omen. Serdid finds Chihiro deep in thought and grows very worried, repeatedly questioning him about his disappearance. Annoyed, Chihiro's face darkens with killing intent as he tells her to be silent. At Maldia's church, after a debate about the monsters, Shoko notices Chihiro's hesitation. She mentions that he seems to have encountered and fought members of the Guardian Council, those who have protected Tokyo for generations. Shoko asks where he went during his disappearance. Chihiro answers vaguely. Suddenly, reporter Kakabara pushes the door open and informs everyone that information about the group has been leaked. Dr. Inuki reminds Shoko that the group was ambushed. She remains adamant that Tokyo should be destroyed as soon as possible. Everyone around looks rather troubled, while Chihiro is still preoccupied with what Yuri said about his mother. Walking with Chihiro, Dr. Inuki notices something is off and takes the initiative to ask about his condition. Chihiro confides that someone told him his mother is the cause of everything. He cannot recall any childhood memories of her. From the shadows, reporter Kakabara reveals himself and tells Chihiro he has information about him. He leads both of them to the church courtyard. Kakabara reminds them of the Aval Science Laboratory explosion 10 years ago. Chihiro's mother was primarily responsible for it. But the problem is that his mother vanished without a trace. He also mentions that Chihiro killed his own father, prompting Inuki to stop him while Chihiro is utterly stunned by this information. In the hospital room, Kodisu and Kum are bickering over trivial matters when they suddenly notice Chihiro sitting by the window, lost in thought about what Kakabara said. Dr. Inuki observes him from outside the door and can only sigh helplessly. When Chihiro and Kotsu leave the hospital, they encounter Inspector Marie and the girl Tsubaki, who had fought Kotsu before. Marie asks them about the recent disappearances, all reported as caused by wild animals. Chihiro thinks they suspect him, but the inspector clarifies they are targeting a suspect named Jun, someone who also carries the heroic bloodline like Chihiro. He is the bespectacled man who has been causing havoc recently. Hearing this, Kotsu anxiously wants to know his whereabouts, so when Marie and Tsubaki turn to leave, he volunteers to join the mission, hoping to find and avenge the one who turned his father into a monster. Kotsu invites Chihiro, but he refuses. Dr. Inuki has witnessed everything from afar. That night, Chihiro dreams of appearing before an abandoned building containing a garden of dreamy purple flowers. Suddenly, a dark figure lies in a pool of blood, causing him endless discomfort. Chihiro is falling into a nightmare. Meanwhile, Inuki in the laboratory tries to recreate the red crystal, but halfway through, the stone shatters and the experiment fails. Elsewhere, both reporter Kakabara and Kotsu search for useful information. Kakabara and his assistant go everywhere gathering news. Despite his failure, Dr. Inuki continues working tirelessly in the laboratory while Chihiro remains immersed in his dreamscape before the garden, holding a strange purple flower. At the laboratory, Inuki has overworked himself, making Kum very worried. Kakabara has taken many photos of the bespectacled man. That evening, in a park, a pair of glowing animal eyes lurks in the bushes by the road. Ikkyu lies in his hospital bed in half-demon form. Chihiro visits his friend daily out of guilt. Dr. Inuki reassures him that Ikkyu is recovering and his vital signs are gradually normalizing. He has discovered a component in the red mist that reduces this condition. Inuki reveals to Chihiro that the purity of the newly discovered component is not yet high enough. He needs time before he can cure patients like Ikkyu. This leaves Chihiro feeling rather disheartened. He and the doctor stand on the rooftop sharing their thoughts. Chihiro confides that he once intended to follow ducks and fight to find salvation. He needed to destroy Tokyo to rebuild everything, but Inuki disagrees. As a doctor, he believes it is better to save all the people of Tokyo. Chihiro wants that too, but cannot achieve it because he cannot find salvation for himself. Seeing this, Inuki places his hand on the boy's shoulder and promises Chihiro that he will find a way to save him, no matter how insane it may seem. This moves Chihiro deeply. He finally opens up more to him. Elsewhere, Kotsu, Inspector Marie, and Tsubaki search for clues about the bespectacled man Jun. The inspector theorizes he might be responsible for the recent serial cases. But lacking evidence, Marie doubts she is targeting the wrong person. In Chihiro's dream, a dark void surrounds him. He dreams of crimson light beams moving back and forth. Then the image of Dr. Inuki appears, his body lying in a large pool of blood. Chihiro wakes in absolute terror and immediately contacts Kum to check on the situation. When Kum irritably goes to hook up Inuki's Roman 4, she suddenly cannot find him in the office. Instead, there is only a broken window. Worried about him, Chihiro rushes over desperately. He does not want to lose anyone else. Ero in Tsubasa's form is quite clumsy. She carries a stack of documents and immediately falls flat on her face. Kakabara notices a code among the documents. When he enters it, he gains access to the Aval data center and sees an image of Yuri. At the same time, while searching for Inuki, Chihiro encounters her playing with children at an orphanage. Tsubaki, searching for clues, suddenly hears screaming from an alley. She goes deeper and finds someone dead. At that moment, a monster lunges at her, but Kotsu arrives just in time to save her. The monster escapes to a high position. In the moonlight, it reveals its true form as Dr. Inuki. Seeing his hands covered in blood, he screams in horror. Inspector Marie is now investigating the crime scene. She examines the victim's body, then questions Kotsu and Tsubaki standing nearby. Tsubaki reveals that whoever caused this transformation is very strange, completely different from those they have investigated before. Marie falls into deep thought. Meanwhile, in an alley, a group of thugs holds a photo of their target. It turns out Jun had them tail Dr. Inuki. Suddenly, one of them complains of hunger, so his friend goes to buy dinner for the group. When he returns, he finds the alley pitch black. The horrifying sight is those young men lying dead in pools of blood, with a half-demon figure gliding above, terrifying him completely. Chihiro walks the streets trying to contact Kum, worried about Inuki's condition. Kum looks at the wreckage in the laboratory, but still tries to reassure Chihiro that Inuki will be fine, then hangs up. On the wall of a high-rise building, Jun leaps down and transforms into his half-demon form, speeding away. The thugs he hired are also searching the city for Inuki's whereabouts. Chihiro calls Kum to tell her about his dream related to Inuki's death, but she thinks it is absurd. Jun arrives at the alley where the thugs were killed. Seeing this, he becomes furious. In Chihiro's dream, he sits before the purple flower garden of the ruined house, recalling that terrible nightmare. He clutches his head helplessly, wanting to save Dr. Inuki. Then Chihiro remembers Inuki's words, so he resolves to find and talk to him no matter what. The next morning, Kum reaches Inuki. He assures her he is safe before hanging up. Behind Inuki, thugs sent by Jun have surrounded him. Haru reports the situation to Jun and asks what to do about those Inuki killed. Jun says he will handle it himself, then immediately flies to where Inuki was found. Meanwhile, Inuki wants to slip away from the thugs. Sensing he is about to transform again, he warns those surrounding him to leave. They do not believe him and keep blocking his path, waiting for Jun. Suddenly, Chihiro appears behind the group. He has been searching for Inuki for so long. Inuki tells Chihiro to stay away from him. The thugs see someone in their way and try to charge, but Chihiro dodges smoothly. As Chihiro is about to get close and Inuki is transforming into his beast man form, Inuki has no choice but to leap into the sea and disappear with the current. Chihiro frantically runs to check, but has lost track of him. When he sadly returns to the church, Shoko asks about Inuki's whereabouts. Suddenly, reporter Kakabara reveals he has found the traitor and presents a photo of the orphanage. It turns out Inuki and Jun grew up there and were once sworn brothers. Chihiro objects because that photo alone cannot prove Inuki is a traitor, but Kakabara counters that the orphanage was established by Aval Science Institute. Although the place has a good public image, it actually runs many illegal operations. The place belongs to Chaos. Chihiro stubbornly refuses to believe Inuki is a traitor, so Kakabara presents a photo of Director Grumman, who is also Yuri's father, standing beside her. When Chihiro returns to the laboratory to see Kum, she reveals that Inuki did leak information, but what he did was to protect the children in the orphanage near the tower, including Kum herself, who grew up in Hikari Orphanage. It turns out she and Inuki were both children who escaped as failed experiments. Even now, Inuki still suffers the effects of that. He does not have much time left. Chihiro goes to the ruined house. He is gazing at the flower garden when suddenly Yuri calls him from behind. When Chihiro says her name, Yuri freezes for a moment before reminiscing about past memories. Chihiro feels guilty for not being able to remember those memories. Even her name he only knows because others mentioned it. Chihiro confides to Yuri that he feels helpless because he is about to lose someone important to him again. Hearing this, she says she can help Chihiro. He finds it very strange that when near her, all desire to fight disappears. Elsewhere, thugs are searching for information about Inuki for Jun. Inspector Marie, along with Kotsu and Tsubaki, overhears this. She approaches and uses her stern expression to extract information from the thug. On a bridge, Jun has finally found Inuki as he wished. He wants Inuki to return to the association. Knowing he does not have much time left, Inuki can only refuse. He does not understand why Jun has to do such evil things. Suddenly, Inuki begins to transform. He begs Jun to kill him so he cannot harm anyone. Seeing his friend's pain, Jun grits his teeth and prepares to end him. Unexpectedly, Chihiro appears just in time in his half-demon form to block Jun's attack. But Inuki has lost control and completely transformed into his beast man form. On the other side, Kotsu's group arrives at the thugs' hideout to ask about Jun. Kotsu notices Haru is the leader of this group, making it difficult to get information. Inuki, out of control, charges at Chihiro. Jun flies over to help, but is sent flying by Inuki's attack. Chihiro recalls when Yuri taught him to control magic. He tries to focus his energy on the target before him, knocking Inuki away. But at the same time, Chihiro cannot control that terrifying power. Jun warns him that if he continues, his body will be damaged by the overwhelming force. Suddenly, that energy is absorbed back into Chihiro's body. He completely loses control. Unconsciously, his body tries to amplify its power. Jun is astonished to recognize this power. Chihiro is the Crimson Lotus King. Realizing Chihiro is losing control, Inuki regains control of his body and knocks Chihiro away, then flies after him to restrain him. Seeing the dire situation, Jun follows closely. The inspector and Haru notice the light in the sky. Haru recognizes it as Jun's aura and runs to find him. When Jun arrives, he discovers Inuki, not yet fully transformed, is struggling to hold Chihiro down. Jun knows Inuki is risking his life to save Chihiro. He tries to help, but is pushed back by Inuki's barrier. Inuki tries to awaken Chihiro, believing he can do it. When Chihiro regains control, Inuki simultaneously dissolves, leaving behind a bloodstone and a pool of blood. Jun turns away, silently weeping for his lost brother. Chihiro can only kneel in despair in the pool of blood, wondering if he can truly do what Inuki said. Chihiro cradles the blood crystal that the late Inuki transformed into and brings it to Kume. She treasures it, holding the crystal close with sorrow in her eyes. She does not blame him, but only thanks Chihiro for being with Inuki in his final moments. Elsewhere, Shoko in a vision kneels before Dux. She listens to Dux's brainwashing. The woman says that when those of the heroic bloodline are defeated, they do not truly die, but their remnants transform into gemstones. Chaos is exploiting those who carry the heroic bloodline to eliminate each other. Once all carriers of the heroic bloodline are destroyed, the world will collapse. Therefore, they must quickly act to destroy Tokyo. On another side atop a high-rise building, Jun holds a bouquet of roses. He recalls the scene of Inuki sacrificing himself for Chihiro. Jun, furious, releases the rose. Yuri watches him from behind, lost in thought. When both return to Chaos headquarters, the tattooed man with a despicable face celebrates having successfully eliminated one carrier of the heroic bloodline. Old man Grumman stands with his back to them. He says the second great unconsciousness is about to occur. Jun suggests accelerating the elimination of those carrying the heroic bloodline to prevent them from getting in the way. The new recruit Haru beside him is very eager for the mission. Grumman brainwashes his daughter to help him. When they go out into the hallway, Haru asks about the first target. Blinded by his hatred for losing his sworn brother, Jun is determined that the first to be eliminated will be Chihiro. Also, to prevent Yuri's personal feelings from ruining the mission, Jun excludes her from this. On another side, Chihiro sits contemplating before the purple flower garden. He is thinking about Inuki's encouraging words before he dissolved. Chihiro wonders if he can become someone like him. From afar, Yuri shyly approaches and sits beside Chihiro. After a few seconds of awkwardness, Yuri expresses how happy she is to see him. Chihiro wonders why he always feels at peace whenever he comes here. She reveals she came to tell him something. She presents a teapot brewed with the flavor his mother used to make. When Yuri mentions his mother, Chihiro suddenly recalls what she previously said about everything being his mother's fault. He truly wants to know the truth about his mother. Seeing she can no longer hide it, Yuri reveals that his mother's name was Mitsuki, who was once a colleague of her father, Grumman. It turns out they used to be at this place together. His mother and Yuri's father conducted an experiment that failed, pulling Chihiro's mother into another world while Grumman lost an arm. All these years, because of his obsession with Chihiro's mother, Grumman neglected his daughter, trying to reopen the gate to another dimension. He even forbade her from seeing Chihiro. To Grumman, Yuri is merely a carrier of the heroic bloodline carrying out missions for him, not regarded as his daughter. After she shares this, Chihiro also feels relieved knowing the truth. At Maldeus Church, he recalls each important name in his mind. Suddenly, a vision of Kotsu's death appears before Chihiro. He knows this is an ominous sign, so Chihiro immediately rushes to his friend's house. But Kotsu has already gone out. He is being driven on Tsubaki's racing bike. She notices someone suspicious following them. It is Jun and Haru, so she takes Kotsu elsewhere, shaking them off. She takes him to a rooftop to enjoy the view, then to a restaurant to eat. On his end, Chihiro cannot reach his friend and grows worried. He goes to the ruined house to find Yuri. Kotsu and Tsubaki are unaware that Jun and Haru are tailing them. Haru wonders why they do not just eliminate Kotsu right away. Jun explains that Tsubaki is also a member of the Guardian Council, so he must kill her too to avoid interference. Chihiro tells Yuri about his dreams. He feels it is absurd to be so affected by them, but Chihiro is genuinely worried about Kotsu because according to the dream's progression, his loved ones in the real world are gradually dying. Yuri reassures him that he can do it. Chihiro begs her to tell him if she knows anything. Seeing his pleading expression, Yuri is about to reveal something when suddenly Kotosu calls. On the other end, he cries for help, causing Chihiro to immediately leave Yuri behind and rush to Kotsu. As it turns out, the boy and Tsubaki simply forgot their wallets and were nearly kept to wash dishes. When they go outside and see Chihiro's silence, Kotsu thinks he is angry. Jun, nearby and seeing Chihiro's intervention, becomes furious. Blinded by the hatred of losing his sworn brother, he loses all patience and decides to finish off Chihiro's entire group here. He orders Haru to fight Tsubaki. While Chihiro's group is talking, Jun suddenly swoops in and takes Kotsu away. Haru also swiftly grabs Tsubaki. Seeing this, Chihiro flies into a rage. He transforms into his half-demon form and relentlessly pursues the enemies. Tsubaki, being dragged by Haru, immediately transforms and sends him flying. Haru, extremely arrogant, decides he will show her no mercy. Chihiro arrives to find Kotsu, just like in his dream, hanging upside down from a tree with vacant, soulless eyes. Jun pours salt on the wound by slowly piercing Kotsu with his tentacles. Furious, Chihiro strikes away Jun's red tentacles with all his might. Jun continuously fights him with those tentacles, threatening that if Chihiro resists, he will pierce Kotsu's heart. Worried about his friend, Chihiro is knocked down again and again. Suddenly, Jun mentions Inuki's name. He is furious because Inuki sacrificed himself for Chihiro. Just as Jun gains the upper hand and prepares to kill Chihiro, throwing darts appear from nowhere to block his attack. Yuri has arrived to protect Chihiro. While Jun is questioning her for defying the organization's orders, he charges to attack her. Chihiro sees this and tries to intercept. When the razor-sharp tentacles are mere moments from Yuri, Jun hesitates. Seeing the situation is unfavorable, he flees. On Tsubaki's side, the fight is equally intense. She knocks him down and is about to finish him when a figure swoops in, grabs Haru, and flies away. Chihiro holds his friend Kotsu in his arms, comforting him. Yuri beside them affirms she has chosen to help him. Chihiro knows she now has nowhere to return to, so he invites her to join his team. In the deep red mist of the city, reporter Kakabara is summoned by Chihiro's group. Suddenly, members of the Guardian Council emerge from the fog. The moment they meet, the atmosphere is extremely tense, thick with the smell of gunpowder. Chihiro reveals he called everyone here to discuss cooperation. Of course, little Tsubaki does not mind this, but her thoughtless actions cannot be ignored by the council members. The blonde girl Julia from the Guardian team mocks Shoko's group as fanatics. Shoko, not to be outdone, retorts that the Guardian Council clearly bears the responsibility of protecting the nation. Yet they kill those who do not submit to the organization's ideals. Hearing this, Julia becomes furious. She does not allow anyone to speak ill of the Guardian Council, so she and the young man Segura beside her summon their spirit beasts. Seeing the situation deteriorating, Kotosu transforms, ready to fight alongside Shoko. But a girl steps forward to mediate. Chihiro also reminds everyone that he has a way to save the world without destroying Tokyo. The Guardians and even his teammates do not quite believe him. Chihiro looks at Yuri with trusting eyes, believing she surely has a solution. When he walks toward Yuri, Shoko recognizes her as a chaos agent and uses magic to attack her. Fortunately, Chihiro blocks in time and pushes Yuri aside, explaining she is on their side. Everyone around thinks chaos has seduced him. Chihiro and Kotosu explain that Kotsu's life was saved from the brink of death by Yuri. Even Chihiro initially wanted to give up and accept fate, unable to save Kotsu. But thanks to her encouragement, he realized fate can be changed. He tells everyone about Aval Science Center's intention to use those of the heroic bloodline to eliminate each other. If they cooperate, they can resist the Chaos Agent's attacks. However, Shoko remains doubtful, offering only two choices: destroy Tokyo or let the heroic bloodline be exterminated. In his urgency, Chihiro bows down, begging for everyone's help. Both Kotosu and Tsubaki, along with some members of the Guardian Council, side with him. Two from the council, Julia and Sugurta, vow to fulfill their responsibilities but want to follow their own path, so they leave first. Inspector Marie also decides to join this cause. When the inspector and the reporter go drinking, Kakabara expresses doubt about her decision. He believes someone like Chihiro, who killed his own father to achieve his goals, is not trustworthy, but Marie decides to show him something. At the flower garden, Chihiro is admiring the scenery when Yuri shyly appears. This time she brings a pot of brewed tea, and they enjoy it together happily. Marie takes Kakabara to the document library. She reveals to him about Chihiro's heroic bloodline and the crime scene from years ago. 13 years ago, a family was discovered by police in a state of forced suicide, with only young Chihiro huddled in a corner. He confessed to the police that he was the one who killed his father. Based on that statement, Kakabara continually believes Chihiro caused it. From the marks on Chihiro's hands at that time, he deduces that because his father was strangling Chihiro, the boy used a glass shard to stab him. but she reminds him that as a reporter, he should not be blinded by anger. Marie shows Kakibara a photo of the crime scene with the bloody words Chihiro's father left behind, expressing his wish for the boy to survive. There is no way someone like Chihiro's father, who wanted the whole family to die together, would wish for his son to live. Therefore, there must be hidden circumstances behind this. Reporter Kakibara wants to deny this truth. Even when Marie mentions that Chihiro wants the group to gather at the church, he does not want to cooperate. At the church, Yuri reveals to everyone that her father intends to cause a second great unconsciousness, so he has imported some machinery. As for the location and source, she does not know. Shoko greatly doubts the authenticity of her words, but Chihiro and Kotatsu place great trust in Yuri. At the Purple Flower Garden, Chihiro expresses gratitude for Yuri's help. He places his hand on her shoulder, making her blush, as happy as a girl experiencing first love. He believes it is because of his mother that their fates continue to intertwine. Chihiro wants to change his own destiny himself. Yuri gives him a notebook, a memento of his mother. It turns out this is the storybook he loved most as a child. But when he touches it, dark memories appear before Chihiro. His father, devastated by his mother's departure, locked himself in his room. The despair consumed him, making him want to commit suicide together with Chihiro. In his mind, the words of those around him still linger, asking why he wanted to kill his father. Then suddenly, an image of Inspector Marie being pierced through the chest appears. The inspector is currently following delivery trucks from Avil Company. She traces their path and discovers an abandoned amusement park. Below lies a blood quartz continuously creating barriers. Marie is about to report to the organization when an attack grazes her. A mysterious hooded figure appears, laughing sinisterly as he transforms into his half-demon form to attack her. Meanwhile, Chihiro has just awakened from his dream. After regaining his senses, he frantically tells Yuri about it, while Marie, with nimble movements, continuously dodges the mysterious figure's attacks. She summons her spirit beast to attack him. Unfortunately, a blonde girl appears. Her attack destroys Marie's supposedly immortal spirit beast. She tries to summon more to eliminate the two strangers, but the blonde girl's attack is too insidious, piercing through her from a distance. At this point, everyone has gathered at Maldeus Church. Chihiro quickly asks about Marie's whereabouts. Shoko reveals that she paid the price for trusting the wrong person. Suddenly, Marie appears covered in blood. Kakibara quickly catches her. She only manages to hand over a blood-stained phone and tell him something before dissolving. Shoko mocks Yuri because she indirectly caused Marie's death. Gromand appears nearby, praising her for doing well. Everyone except Chihiro has lost faith in Yuri. Left with no choice, she releases Chihiro's hand and returns to her father's side. Despite his protests, upon returning, Gromand beats and scolds his daughter harshly, forbidding her from entering his and Mitsuki's house ever again. A blood-red space appears where a figure lies split in half in a pool of liquid, heralding an ominous sign. At this moment on the overpass, Chihiro bows an apology to the Guardian Council. They utterly despise him for trusting an enemy and causing the loss of a valuable warrior of their organization. No matter how he explains, they do not want to be stabbed in the back again. Even Tsubaki must return with Julia and Sugura to the organization for punishment. Chihiro tries to present the magic stone that Inuki left behind, but he receives only mockery from the two. To them, that stone cannot change the current situation now. At Maldeus Church, everyone blames Chihiro for trusting Yuri. Reporter Kakibara, furious, grabs his collar and demands an explanation for what happened. Chihiro can only remain silent, unable to say anything. Seeing him like this, Kakibara reluctantly releases him. Nurse Kum now holds the spirit stone Dr. Inuki left behind and decides to research it herself to find answers. Kakibara and Ero no longer trust Chihiro either. He and his assistant decide to split off and investigate on their own. With everyone scattering, Shoko is now completely helpless. On the Avil Corporation side, Gromand is conducting experiments on citizens with his scientists. They are imprisoned in a room regardless of age, with a high-energy crystal cluster above their heads. When he presses the button, a brilliant red light shines down, transforming everyone into hideous monsters. Kakibara follows the clues Marie left behind. He goes to the addresses of land plots that Avil Corporation acquired. He realizes this place may be hiding some earth-shattering secret, which is why Marie was hastily eliminated. Kakibara intends to investigate alone, but Ero wants to help and follows him with his trust. Throughout their investigation everywhere, someone secretly tails them. When they reach a fork in the road, the stalker, Chihiro, is discovered by Kakibara. He angrily asks what the boy intends. Chihiro stammers, unable to explain. Seeing this, Kakibara mockingly guesses he dreamed of his death. Kakibara knows Chihiro is only doing this to restore everyone's faith in his and Yuri's plan. He does not trust him and has no intention of cooperating. Before Chihiro can say more, Kakibara turns away. Ero follows and assures she will protect him carefully. At Aval Corporation, due to the near information leak last time, Grumand has increased security. Jun suggests eliminating Chihiro first, but Grumand immediately points out that Jun cannot accomplish anything with his eyes clouded by hatred. When Jun leaves in frustration with Haru, Grumand speaks with a nearby scientist. He is relieved that the Guardian Council and the church team almost allied against him. He also recognizes Chihiro as a thorn that must be removed, as he may become the Crimson Lotus King in the future. Kun carefully researches Inuki's spirit stone in the laboratory. Meanwhile, Kotsu secretly finds Tsubaki to tell her about his dream predicting Chihiro's death. That he dreamed of Kakabara dying horribly. She is willing to help him as a friend. In Gromand's office, he is reviewing Marie's call history and searching for more information. When Kakabara looks beside him, he sees Ero has fallen asleep from exhaustion. He caringly covers her with a jacket. Suddenly, he notices that points on the map match addresses in Marie's phone. Kakabara gazes out the window in contemplation. He notices that Chihiro is still persistently following like a leech, so he reluctantly agrees to meet him. Chihiro explains he only wants to save him, but Kakabara now does not care about anything. He has nothing left to lose. His family committed suicide due to debt. That is why Kakabara has always hated Chihiro for rejecting his father's feelings, killing him out of fear of death. Chihiro immediately objects. He expresses to him that he always feels immense pain whenever he recalls that day, to the point he wishes he could have died alongside his father. But for some reason, he survived. And even now, remembering what Inuki once said, he cannot die because he has a mission to fulfill. Kakabara becomes very agitated, questioning why Chihiro's eyes still gleam with a desire to live despite being betrayed by friends and teammates, having lost almost everything. He begins to doubt his own judgment about the boy, whether Chihiro really ended his father's life or not. Kakabara takes him to the location pinpointed on Marie's device. Ero accompanies them. He brings them near an area with a giant sphere. According to Marie's information, there are 7 such spheres across the city. Their purpose is to create new barriers. That is why Shoko was so eager to destroy the barriers. Suddenly, a voice rings out from somewhere. Ero quickly transforms into her beast human form, blocking an attack aimed at Kakabara. When the attacker reveals himself, Kakabara immediately recognizes him. He is Karburagi, called Kark for short, a renowned pianist. He immediately summons a blonde girl who can hit Ero from a great distance. Kakabara realizes this is the one who killed Marie. Chihiro transforms and charges to attack. Suddenly, from the ground, illusions of the dead victims, his father, Inuki, Marie, and many others, cling to him, plunging Chihiro into despair. Seeing Chihiro trapped in Kark's spell, Kakabara struggles to untie him despite the blonde girl continuously slashing at him. Kark is about to strike again when Ero rushes out to shield Kakabara. At this moment, he sees Tsubasa's familiar figure in her. He watches her die and transforms in a rage, trying to charge forward for revenge, but is knocked away by Kark's attack. Seeing Kakabara take multiple slashes yet still shield him, Chihiro screams for Serded to come help. Kakabara reveals to him that he could not accept being abandoned by his parents. That is why whenever he loved someone, he wanted to drag them along with him. But Kakabara had misunderstood the boy. Chihiro did not kill his father. His father stabbed himself so Chihiro could live. Before dying, Kakabara calmly lights a cigarette and tells him to live well to achieve his goals. Chihiro begs Serded for help, but Kakabara's wounds are beyond saving. He passes away in Chihiro's arms, leaving behind a spirit stone that makes the boy scream in despair. Elsewhere, Shoko is having an audience with Dux. Dux reminds her that Chaos currently has the advantage. If this continues, the world will be destroyed. Therefore, Shoko resolves to execute the plan to destroy Tokyo as soon as possible, even if only one heroic seedling remains. At a concert hall built under Gromand's direction, he walks around with a worker inspecting the premises, preparing for musician Kark's performance. The worker freezes upon seeing him, then recovers and questions why Gromand wants to build a large trapdoor beneath the stage floor. Gromand mysteriously replies that these preparations are for the upcoming performance. Kark on stage is excitedly gesturing, preparing for the Crimson Lotus King's funeral ceremony. At Maldius Church, Tsubaki brings Akira to Chihiro's group. Currently, only these 2 girls believe and help him. They did not expect Kakabara's death to happen so suddenly. Chihiro believes this is not the time for mourning. The deceased have entrusted all responsibility to them. Chihiro believes they must act as soon as possible. Inside the church, Dux stands behind Shoko. They mock, not expecting members of the Guardian Council to be willing to help. Akira affirms this is her own subjective wish. Chihiro now begs Dux for help as they are short on manpower. Dux uses magic to create a starry region above the group, showing them the positions of the barrier-creating machines arranged like the Big Dipper. 6 of 7 machines have been activated. If all successfully create barriers, their chances of survival will be nearly 0. Therefore, Chihiro urges everyone to destroy the final machine, located at the Infinity Theater. Shoko remarks that he has finally done something decent. Her words about Yuri are too harsh, making Surdid unable to restrain herself and about to charge forward, but Chihiro stops her from acting rashly. At this moment, in a secret underground research room, Old Grumand is intently watching vehicles transporting equipment containing toxic gas. The second Great Coma plan is about to unfold. He turns and tells everyone about the plan using Kark as the trump card. When Jun asks about Yuri, Grumand reminds him she has outlived her usefulness. This makes Jun helplessly ask about the fate of failed experiments. Seeing Grumand ignore those who suffered from experimental remnants like himself, Jun becomes furious but is warned by Grumand's cane not to act rashly. He only allows Jun to defend the 6 machine positions. This makes Jun explode further. Grumand is cunning because he knows Chihiro will appear at the final machine's location. Jun's hatred would only ruin his plan. When Jun walks through the corridor and meets Yuri, he criticizes her weakness for ruining his scheme to kill Chihiro. Haru, seeing his senior leave, also rushes to blame her. He pressures her to lure Chihiro out. Yuri looks at the fallen flower vase and steals her resolve. The next day, while Tsubaki is washing her bike, Haru appears from nowhere, throws her some intelligence, then vanishes. Tsubaki brings Grumand's second Great Coma plan to the church to report. Everyone naturally suspects this is a trap. Tsubaki advises everyone not to be impulsive because it is a concert with many audience members, so the Chaos people may be using them as hostages. Shoko refutes this, believing that sacrificing more people is necessary to achieve their goal. While everyone hesitates, Chihiro also decides to join this plan. He reminds everyone that they use sound to transform humans into monsters. If they can kill Kark before he plays the piece, everything can be stopped. In his dream that night, he contemplates his choice. Images of many people lying in pools of blood appear before Chihiro. Suddenly, Dux also appears here, pointing out that he has changed. Chihiro firmly states that if he must be stained with blood, he will do it according to his own will. The next morning, Jun stands at one of the machine locations. Suddenly, Haru arrives and advises him to leave and follow his own decision. Jun reminds him that violating orders means death. Seeing he cannot persuade Jun, Haru reluctantly leaves to carry out the mission. That evening at the concert venue, thugs under Jun's command observe the situation. Suddenly, they see Chihiro's group transforming and charging toward them. Kark appears nearby. Before they can understand the situation, he casts a spell that transforms the group into monsters. The monsters charge to fight Chihiro's group, while Kark leisurely enters to perform the concert. As the piano sounds ring out, the audience in the hall gradually loses their minds. While everyone fights outside, Chihiro barely manages to destroy a monster before Haru rushes out and knocks him away. Akira calls out to advise him, but his loyalty to Jun blinds Haru. He aims straight at Chihiro to strike, but when he attacks, Chihiro's figure gradually fades, revealing its true form as a spirit beast. It turns out Chihiro had Akira prepare in advance, transforming a monster into his likeness to mislead the enemy. He rushes into the auditorium to end Kark. Suddenly, Jun charges out to block the attack, wanting to finish Chihiro himself. Kark is furious that an uninvited guest has ruined the plan. While everyone has rushed into the auditorium, the guests can no longer be saved. Kark creates a barrier that draws the souls of all guests to one place, then creates a giant monster. Chihiro, not paying attention, is stabbed in the chest by Jun. He recalls Inuki's words, encouraging himself that he can do it, and unleashes tremendous power that shatters Jun's attack. Only now does everyone realize Chihiro is the Crimson Lotus King. He attacks continuously, leaving Jun unable to resist. Just as Jun despairs, suddenly Chihiro feels a sharp pain in his heart. Jun tries to seize the opportunity to kill him when suddenly an attack from the blonde girl beside Kark takes Jun's life. Seeing this, Haru goes mad and charges to avenge Jun. Kark is about to finish him when suddenly Akira's figure rushes forward to take the blow for Haru. The musician does not intend to spare him. To everyone's shock, the scythe pierces through both Haru and Akira, eliminating them instantly. Chihiro is enraged that Kark treats human lives like trash. A surge of power destroys the entire auditorium. The Crimson Lotus King has returned. Despite Kark's seductive words about Chihiro killing innocent victims, the monster fires a tremendous blast at Chihiro, but he is no longer burdened by such morality. A single strike from Chihiro splits the monster in two. Shoko watches this scene and laughs madly for having created a powerful Crimson Lotus King. Chihiro rushes to where Kark was, but he has vanished, leaving only mocking words behind. On Grumand's side, with the plan failed, he begs his daughter Chiyu for help. Seeing her father like this, the girl cannot resist and agrees. Yuri holds a photo of herself and Chihiro taken when they were young. She is overjoyed because she has prevented the second Great Coma. The two of them will have no reason to fight each other anymore. When she arrives at Old Grumand's room, he informs her that the plan has only just begun. He entrusts this mission to his daughter Chiyu. Furthermore, he scolds Kark for ruining the plan he painstakingly constructed. The mad scientist Drail beside them laughs and advises the two not to fight each other. He suggests eliminating Chihiro, which Yuri vehemently opposes, but Drail brainwashes her, saying that Chihiro eliminated Jun and Haru and killed all the audience members there. Seeing Yuri does not believe it, he directs her attention to old Grumman. The old man reveals that Chihiro caused it and plays the video Drail recorded for her to see. At Maldeus Church, Shoko is presenting her achievements to Dux. Everyone praises Chihiro for destroying the barrier spirit stone, but he himself feels immense guilt for having killed so many people. Surdid comforts him, saying it was the organization's fault. Seeing everyone praise Chihiro, Shoko becomes furious and approaches. She claims that it was thanks to her efforts that the machine was destroyed, so only she is the suitable candidate for the position of Crimson Lotus King. She looks at Dux unconvinced. Seeing Dux silently agree, Shoko becomes confused. At the hospital where Akira and Haru lie, Chihiro visits them. Kum reports that both have stabilized. She is very curious about what will happen when Haru learns that his enemy is the person who wanted to save him most. Surdid is praised by the nurse for saving the two in time and becomes quite embarrassed. Suddenly, Kum mentions that Shoko abandoned Akira and Haru to destroy the machine, yet now she takes all the credit. Chihiro does not accept her behavior, but simply remarks that everyone has their own personality. Back at the laboratory with Kum, Chihiro expresses regret for Jun choosing the wrong path. Blinded by hatred to the point of making mistakes, Jun's spirit stone is placed beside Inuki's as wished. On Grumman's side, he follows his daughter to her laboratory. He is surprised that Chiyu has reconstructed the setting of the old house where he and Mitsuki once lived. Chiyu activates the device and reveals to him that although the spirit stones have been destroyed, if the energy of the remaining one is focused toward the device, it will forcibly open the gate to another world. Chiyu warns him that doing so will destabilize Tokyo's energy and destroy the city. But he does not listen. What Grumman cares about is that he is about to reunite with Mitsuki, so he urges his daughter to activate the device. At Maldeus Church, Shoko is now furious because Chihiro stole her spotlight before Dux. She is unconvinced and believes only she can become the Crimson Lotus King. Then Shoko suddenly realizes that only the last survivor will earn that title. So Shoko begins thinking of killing Chihiro and his group to claim the title of Crimson Lotus King. Suddenly, Kark opens the door from behind with a mocking laugh. He sneers that Shoko's thoughts have been tainted. Flames erupt around them, burning the entire church to ashes. Shoko lies collapsed, her eyes wide with horror fixed on Dux. Dux's figure sinks into the flames. On the other side, Grumman forces Yuri to watch Chihiro massacring his teammates and all the audience members who were transformed into monsters. She does not believe it, but the truth is right before her eyes. Grumman brainwashes her that Chihiro is no longer the person she once knew. He lures her into saving Chihiro and bringing him back to how he was. At the burned ruins of Maldeus Church, Chihiro's group finds Shoko's spirit stone. Everyone guesses that Chaos did this. Dux appears before the group from nowhere. Kotsu, seeing her indifferent expression, questions whether she feels no sadness about Shoko's death. She only tilts her head in confusion, leaving him helpless. Dux informs everyone that Chaos is about to transport all of Tokyo to another world. This leads Chihiro's group to speculate that this may be the price Grumman pays for attempting some ritual. Dux decides to let everyone choose their own fate. When Chihiro returns to the old house, Surdid stands behind a tree observing everything. Yuri, as predicted, comes to this place, bringing tea she brewed herself. Seeing he has not changed, she is very happy. Yuri tells him about what she saw after he became the Crimson Lotus King, that Chihiro massacred everyone in the auditorium. But Chihiro confirms what she says is true. This surprises her, and she questions him. Chihiro reveals that Kark transformed the audience into a giant monster, and he was forced to do it to destroy the final machine. This greatly surprises Yuri. She says he has become different from before. Yuri is very worried because if he continues using that power, Chihiro will kill himself soon. Yuri does not want this to happen. She embraces him and advises him to forget everything with her, to escape to a place where no one knows them. But Chihiro still decides to follow the path of killing. He must continue the will of Inuki and those who have passed. Seeing she cannot persuade him, she becomes frantic, losing her will, and transforms to rush forward and save him. Suddenly, Surdid rushes out from behind the tree and uses her power to bind Yuri tightly, preventing her from acting rashly. Surdid has waited for this day for a long time. She says that ever since meeting Yuri, Chihiro has completely changed. Yuri is the one who distracted Chihiro from his original goal. Surdid's duty is to protect Chihiro, so despite his orders, she is determined to kill Yuri. Unexpectedly, a blood blade pierces through Surdid, causing her to release the spell binding Yuri. Surdid only manages to call Chihiro's name before she dissolves. Chihiro cannot believe it and questions Yuri. Seeing his desperate expression, she cannot explain and immediately flies away. She herself does not understand why that just happened. On Grumman's side, he urges Chiyu to activate the machine. All the spirit stones around the city have been activated, causing the Aval building headquarters to collapse completely. In its place, the house Chiyu constructed rises high along with the rocks. Drail and Kark eagerly anticipate this. Chihiro observes everything from afar. When his group comes to ask about Serdid's whereabouts, Chihiro's expression tells them everything. Dux appears at this moment, telling the group that the source of the gate originates from a device inside that rising house. Chihiro and his group transform, determined to fly there and resolve everything. At this moment, Tokyo is gradually turning into rubble. Everything is being pulled up toward the gate in the sky. Grumman laughs madly, calling Mitsuki's name. He rejoices at the prospect of reuniting with her. At the same time, Chihiro's group flies toward them to stop his plan. Chihiro's pupils contract when he sees Kark playing piano above. Kotsu wants to stay and help Chihiro eliminate him, but Chihiro insists everyone go ahead and leave this to him. Kotosu wants to say more but is cut off by Kum. She reminds everyone that if they do not hurry, Tokyo will be destroyed. Therefore, everyone must proceed to destroy the machine above. When everyone leaves, Chihiro faces Kark. He vows that he will not die here because he still wants to see someone again. Kark is very amused by him. He plays funeral songs as the space around them distorts. Kark summons the giant dragon serpent. The dragon releases a beam of vengeful spirit energy. The cries of souls transformed into monsters echo everywhere. Chihiro does not hesitate to destroy the attack. Kark reveals that the Crimson Lotus King was born from the sacrifice of countless wronged souls. Therefore, Chihiro is the one who caused everyone's misfortune. But he is different now. He no longer seeks forgiveness but will bear all the curses himself. Kark finally gets serious and throws away his piano. He is determined to claim the soul of the Crimson Lotus King. On the other side, Kotsu's group sees the house containing the gate-creating device. Dux appears behind them, saying that once that place is destroyed, everything will end. Then she vanishes as if this has nothing to do with her. Kotsu is about to rush in to destroy it when suddenly a large number of monsters appear. Tsubaki summons her spirit beast to fight the monsters. She continuously defeats many of them, making Kotosu and Kum watch with admiration. Meanwhile, Chihiro is fighting the monster with all his might. His scythe strikes cannot penetrate the monster's solid protective armor. Seeing this, Chihiro takes advantage of the moment the monster attacks. He charges toward the monster's belly where there is no armor and pierces through with one strike. Chihiro exerts all his power trying to destroy the monster. Unfortunately, the scythe of the blonde girl beside Kark pierces through him, causing Chihiro to lose balance and fall. In his dream, Chihiro's entire body lies in a pool of blood. Dux's voice rings out. She sits on a throne surrounded by all of Chihiro's illusions from before. She reveals that all those illusions are actually his buried memories. Chihiro has been acting out plays created by fate over and over again. Those illusions are meant to prevent him from repeating mistakes. This makes Chihiro understand that he is merely a puppet seeking forgiveness in every play, only to repeat endless failures. Chihiro wants to change the ending. He asks Dux if there is another way. She mysteriously says it depends on Chihiro himself. On the other side, Kotsu's group is surrounded by monsters. Kotsu urges Kum to go ahead and destroy the machine while he and Tsubaki stay behind to hold off the monsters. When Kum leaves, Kotsu confesses he is very happy to be with Tsubaki, making her blush. He vows to protect her. At the house on the cliff, Grumman uses words to brainwash Chiyu into eliminating Kotsu's group. She warns him that if she leaves, the machine will malfunction, but he only cares about reuniting with Mitsuki. Chiyu can no longer hold back and points out that Grumman is only using her. She knows he loves no one but himself. Mitsuki will never love him. She only wants to return to her family. Chiyu herself realizes she was created by Grumman combining his DNA with Mitsuki's. Suddenly, Kum breaks through a corner of the house to enter. Grumman goes mad at Chiyu's words. He opens a door and rushes into a room. Now Chiyu looks at Kum with contempt, calling her a defect. Since childhood at the orphanage, Chiyu never liked Kum. Kum is about to fight when suddenly Chiyu's powerful attack painfully knocks her down. Chiyu does not actually want to complete Grumman's mission. She is merely curious to see what he will do about this. In Chihiro's dream realm, he looks at the illusions again. Chihiro wants to fulfill the will of all those who have passed. They too did not follow the scripted fate, but always had their own path. Around him, those who sacrificed themselves suddenly appear one by one. Everyone encourages Chihiro to keep living. Even his father is there. So he erupts with power, charging from the rubble straight at the monster's belly, striking it until it can no longer resist, gradually being swallowed by the gate to the other world. Kark is astonished that Chihiro has slain a god. Drail beside him finds the boy very interesting. Chihiro, furious, uses one strike to split the blonde girl Amadeus in two, making Kark angry enough to fight him with full power. But Chihiro has already severed his arms. Kark, without his hands, has lost everything. He receives another stab from Chihiro. Before death, he still obsesses over his piano. Kark transforms into a blood spirit stone. On the other side, Kotosu and Tsubaki fight in perfect harmony. Just as the monster is about to attack them, it is destroyed by Julia's spirit beast. It turns out Julia and Sugura have decided to join the battle. Meanwhile, Kum is fighting fiercely with Chiyu. Despite her mockery, Kum actively fights to the end, successfully cornering Chiyu. But the machine has lost control. It expands the gate to another world. Grummond, seeing the plan has succeeded, laughs madly. Drail from behind takes the opportunity to push Grummond into the gate. Chihiro desperately asks Dux if there is a way to stop the gate's expansion. She tells him to use the power of the Crimson Lotus King. But when he reaches the gate's edge, he sees Yuri has been standing there. Her eyes now hold no light. She frantically charges to attack him. Drail has brainwashed her that he will die if he uses his power on the gate. Despite Chihiro's pleas, she is determined to charge with her blood blade aimed straight at him. But Chihiro will not let the scene from the illusions continue. He destroys the monster she controls. Chihiro confesses that he would never want to harm the person he loves. Yuri realizes he has not changed, so she no longer tries to stop him. She only wishes to follow Chihiro and help him. When they fly up to the gate together, Chihiro resolutely releases her hand. He advises her to live well for both of them. Seeing her agree, he finally dissolves along with the gate. After the battle, everyone's lives return to normal. Kotsu and Tsubaki buy a house and live together. Kum and Chiyu also harmoniously conduct experiments together. Yuri also has a peaceful life. One night, as the Guardian Council is eliminating the remaining monsters, Drail appears behind Sugura with a mysterious smile. It seems he is planning some new scheme.